Hi there, you are warmly welcome back to this channel. Today, we are going to look at multiplication and division of sets. Multiplication and division of sets. So, just like in any mathematical concept, there are some few guidelines that can help us to simplify any sets involving multiplication or division. The good news here is the very principle or the guidelines that you can use to simplify sets involving multiplication is the same guidelines that you are going to use when the sign or the operation is division. So let's take this example. 2 root 3 multiplied by 4 root 2. If the sign here is multiplication, this is how you go about it. Now, we made mention earlier that any given set has two components, two parts, the number inside the root and the number outside the root. Now, the number inside the root is called radicand. The number outside is called the coefficient. Now, when the sign is multiplication, for you to simplify it, we are going to identify the coefficients in each of the sets. So now we have set 1, we have set 2. So we are going to identify the coefficients here, then multiply it by the coefficients here. Then we take the radicands here and then multiply it by the radicand in the next set. As simple as that. Now let's do that. 2 root 3 multiplied by 4 root of 2. The coefficient here in this our set is what? The number outside the root is what? Clearly 2 multiplied by the coefficient in the next side, which is 4. We'll have 2 times 4 multiplied by, now we take the radicand in the first set, multiply by the radicand in the second set. So we have the radicand here is root of 3 multiplied by that of what? 2. Now, in multiplication, it doesn't matter whether the radicand are the same or what, not. You can see here we have root 3 and then we have root 2. In other operations, especially in addition, we wouldn't be able to do that. But if it is multiplication, it doesn't matter. You can go ahead and multiply the radicands, whether they are the same or not. Now let's simplify. 2 times 4 will give us 8 multiplied by 3 times 2 will give us root of 6. So our 8 root 6. 8 root 6. So therefore, the simplification of this particular equation is 8 root of 6. As simple as that. Now let's take another example. Example 2. Simplify 3 root of 10 multiplied by 2 root of 5. Simplify 3 root of 10 multiplied by 2 root of 5. Just like we did in the first example, we identify the coefficients in each of the sets. The coefficient in this multiplied by the coefficient in this, then the radicand in this multiplied by the radicand in the other. So the coefficient in our first set, the number outside the root here is 3 multiplied by the coefficient or the number outside this root, which is 2. Then multiply by root of the radicand here is 10 multiplied by the radicand here, which is equals to 5. So we simplify further. 3 times 2 will give us 6. Then root 10 times 50 will give 10 times 5 will give us 50. But we can still simplify this particular root or radical into its simplest form, which is 6 multiplied by root of 25 times root of 2. 25 times 2 will give us what? 50. So we can still simplify that. So we have 6 multiplied by root 5 is a perfect square. 25 is a perfect square. So root 5 is 5 multiplied by root of 2. So 6 times 5 will give us 30 or root of 2. As simple as that. So the principle or the guideline here is if the sign is multiplication, go ahead and multiply the coefficient, then multiply the radicals or the numbers inside the root, and then you simplify it to its simplest form. Simplify it to its simplest form. If you have any question, drop it in the comment section. I will be responding to that. The next video will be looking at how to divide any given cells. See you there. Okay, so let's continue with our lesson. Now, in the first part of the video, we look at how to multiply cells. And we mentioned that the same procedure that is involved in multiplying cells is the same procedure that we are going to apply when the operation is division. So we are going to apply the same procedure. Now let's look at the first question. Simplify completely. Simplify completely. Now, when you take a look at the first question, we have 6 root of 15 as our numerator, 3 root 5 as our denominator. So, in simplifying cells that involve division, the first thing that we need to do is to identify the coefficients in each of the cells. The coefficient in the numerator, then the coefficient in the denominator. So we take a look at this. 6 root of 15 all divided by 3 root of 5 will be equals to. So we are going to identify the coefficients in each of the cells. So the coefficient in the numerator or the number outside the root in the numerator here is 6. So we take 6 divided by the coefficient or the number outside the root in the denominator. And the number outside the root here is 3. So we have 3. We have 3 multiplied by, we do same to the radicand. We take the radicand in the numerator divided by the radicand in the denominator. We have root of 15 divided by that of 5. Then we proceed to simplify it to its simplest form. 6 divided by 3 will give us 2 multiplied by root of 15 divided by root of 5. We have root 15 divided by 5 will give us 15 divided by 5 will give us that of 1, 3. Then we multiply 2 times root 3 will get 2 root of 3. We'll get 2 root of 3. Just like in multiplication, it doesn't matter whether the radicals or the numbers inside the root are the same or not. This only applies to multiplication and division. In other operations, that is addition and subtraction, there are guidelines as to how to simplify that one. But in division and multiplication, it doesn't matter whether the radicals are the same. You can go ahead and divide or multiply them. Now let's take the second question. which is 8 root of 24 all divided by 4 root of 6. So I want you to apply the same procedure and simplify the second question and then tell me the answer in the comment section. I'll be watching, I'll be monitoring, and I'll be waiting for your comments. See you in the next video.